free college football picks. This is week 11, part 2. I'm Tony here with our college football big show here for Tuesday. We've got 11 games. We're going to get all 64 in. We'll do 11 or 10 at a time. But today on the Tuesday show, we're going to get 11 games for you. We have the 3 games for you here on Tuesday, and then 8 for Saturday. So we'll get through them all in parts here. Before it gets underway, just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL, NBA, college basketball, NHL, and more. It is a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, give us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers and get signed up to a long-term pass. Guys like Ramon, look at him. He's been on absolute fire. Nick has been on fire as well. Paul as well. You can see the numbers there. I've been doing really good here. NFL and college football last 30 days. Click the links to our sites here, to our profile page, and get signed up to our long-term passes. You'll find our latest premium picks here on the center of the page. Our best bets. Well, each capper can release one best bet per sport per day. Got some best bets up there on the board as well right now. Our $15 premium pick. Each capper can designate one of their plays as a $15 premium pick. We've got Tiffany in there with one. And, of course, our 3 packs are very popular there for our larger players. Get signed up to those. All, of course, profit guarantee must turn a profit, or the amount you purchase is credit back in your account for site credits. That is a profit guarantee. You can scroll down a little bit more. You'll find our pick ticket for picks purchases a la carte. Our promo code. You can save 20% off, 20% off all premium pick packages when you use that promo code TonyT at checkout. You can access our page by clicking the link in the description and the All Cappers tab to get signed up. Also love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. Looking for cappers, you can apply on the footer section of our website. Our podcast, if it's more convenient or safer, if you're driving, you can listen to get all our picks and our shows on our podcast. Tony's Picks is the podcast, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks. All right, let's get this one started. Eastern Michigan versus Akron, college football pick. This one is on Tuesday. Eastern Michigan moves to 5-4 with their 27-24 home defeat to Toledo. Eagles a season low 217 yards with their 118 rushing on 45 attempts. On offense, they allowed the Rockets to gain nearly 4 yards per attempt with 238 passing on 27 attempts. Taylor Powell completed 53% with a pick and 3.6 yards per attempt. On the year, Powell 62% completion rate, 7.5 yards per attempt. Austin Smith saw limited action, going 3 of 6 for 15 yards. This season, Smith, 58% completion rate, 6.5 yards per attempt. Akron, they're 1-8 after a 27-9 home defeat to Miami, Ohio. Zips gained 396 yards in the loss, 80 rushing on 25 carries. Defensively, Akron held the Redhawks to under 3 yards a carry with 184 passing on 23 attempts. DJ Irons completed 63% of his passes, 6.4 yards per attempt. He passed for 316 yards with a touchdown and pick. On the year, Irons' 67% completion rate, 6.9 yards per attempt. Eastern Michigan quarterback situation a concern. It's just tough to lay more than a field goal with Eastern Michigan. Now that DJ Irons has played well for the Zips, the play here will be Akron plus 7.5. Ohio versus Miami, Ohio. College football pick for Tuesday. Ohio markup 6-3 after their 45-24 home win to Buffalo. Bobcats gained 482 yards in this one with 165 rushing on 32 attempts. They limited the Bulls to less than a yard per attempt and 238 passing on 49 attempts. Curtis Rourke completed 69% of his passes, 5 touchdowns and a pick. He passed for 317 yards with 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. Season-wide, Rourke a 68% completion rate, 21 touchdowns, 4 picks, and a career-high 9.9 yards per attempt. Miami, Ohio improved to 4-5 after their 27-8 road win at Akron. Redhawks gained only 268 yards in this one with 84 rushing on 37 attempts. Defensively, they held the Zips to just over 3 yards per rush with 316 passing on 49 attempts. Blaine Gabbert completed 56%, 8 yards per attempt. This year, Gabbert 61% completion rate, 6.4 yards per attempt. Bobcats carry a 4-game win streak and have covered 5 straight MAC games. Past 3 games, Bobcats defense holding teams to 323 yards. And on offense, they're producing 406 yards. Redhawks offense over this span just 254 yards a game, 2.7 yards per rush. Play here will be Ohio at -1. Ball State and Toledo college football pick. This one goes off here on Tuesday. Ball State enters here at 5-4. A 27-20 road win at Kent. Cardinals gained 454 yards, 200 rushing on 36 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 4.5 yards a carry to the Golden Flashes with 183 passing on 41 attempts. John Paddock completed 63% of his passes, 5.9 yards per attempt. He threw for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also threw a pick in the game. On the year, Paddock has 62% completion rate, 6.1 yards per attempt. Toledo, they're 6-3 after their 27-24 road win at Eastern Michigan. Rockets posted 374 yards, 136 rushing on 35 attempts. They limited EMU to under 3 yards per rush with 99 passing on 24 attempts. Tucker Gleason started last week, completed 55%, 8.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns. The backup has a completion rate of 52%, 7.6 yards per attempt. Daquan Finn, an undisclosed shoulder injury, questionable here on the year. Finn, a 60% completion rate with 7.5 yards per attempt. He has rushed 85 times with 8 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per attempt. Rockets at home averaging 447 yards, 5.2 yards per rush, 8.4 yards per pass attempt. They do put up 45 points a game at home. Cardinals on the road surrendering 448 yards and moving the football for 385 yards. Play here will be Ball State and Toledo over 50.5. Missouri and Tennessee college football pick. This one goes off on Saturday. Missouri a mark of 4-5 with their 21-17 home defeat to Kentucky. Tigers gained 233 yards in this one with 90 rushing on 33 carries. Defensively, they did limit the Wildcats at 2 yards a carry with 170 passing on 19 attempts. Brady Cook completed 69%, only 5.5 yards per attempt here at 143 yards. On the season, Cook 65% completions, 7.2 yards per attempt. Tennessee, they fell to 8-1 after their 27-13 road defeat at Georgia. Volunteers, a season low, 289 yards, 84 rushing on 42 carries. They allowed over 4 yards per rush to the Bulldogs with 257 passing yards on 25 attempts. Hendon Hooker completed 70% of his passes, season low, 5.9 yards per attempt. He had 195 passing yards and a pick. Hooker on the year, 71% completion rate, 21 touchdowns, 2 picks, 10.1 yards per attempt. Missouri's been held to 17 points in 3 of 4 games. They've gone under in 8 straight. Missouri defense has been strong on the road, holding teams to 263 yards, 4.1 yards per rush, 5.6 yards per pass attempt. Their offense has struggled on the road here. Just 16 points a game average. Play here, Missouri and Tennessee, under 56.5. Indiana versus Ohio State. College football pick Saturday. Indiana drops to 3-6 with their 45-14 home defeat to Penn State. Hoosiers gained a season low 196 yards with 65 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, they surrendered 3.5 yards per rush with 304 passing yards on 35 attempts. Dexter Williams completed 36%, 2 interceptions, and 3.7 yards per attempt. That was his first action this season. Connor Bazelak did not play, and his backup Jack Tuttle was injured, so the Hoosiers had to look to their third-string quarterback here. Iowa State improved to 9-0, a 21-17 road win at Northwestern. Buckeyes were held to a season-low 283 yards, 207 rushing on 35 carries. Defensively, they allowed about 3.5 yards per rush and 79 passing yards on 17 attempts. C.J. Stroud completed a season-low 38%, 2.9 yards per pass attempt. On the year, Stroud a 68% completion rate, 29 touchdowns, 4 picks, about 10 yards per attempt. Hoosiers may just run the ball on every down based on their quarterback situation. Play here will be Indiana and Ohio State under 57.5. Liberty versus UConn college football pick Saturday. Liberty 8-1 after their 21-19 road win at Arkansas as they hit their bye week. Flames gained 315 yards on 91 rushing on 38 carries. Defensively, they held the Razorbacks at 3.5 yards a carry with 284 passing on 37 attempts. Jonathan Bennett completed 60%, 9 yards per pass attempt. He threw for 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. This season, Bennett 58% completions, 7.3 yards per attempt. UConn, they sit at 5-5 after their 27-10 home win to Massachusetts there. Huskies produced 334 yards, 274 rushing on 45 carries. Defensively, they held UMass to just over 3 yards per rush and 266 passing yards on 34 attempts. Zion Turner completed 46% of his passes in the win, 4.6 yards per attempt. This season, Turner 60% completion rate, 5.5 yards per attempt. Both defenses good against the run. Turner a concern with accuracy and passing distance. Play here, Liberty and UConn under 46. James Madison versus Old Dominion. College football pick for Saturday. James Madison 5-3 with their 34-10 road defeat at Louisville. Dukes had a season low 193 yards with 141 rushing on 36 attempts. On defense, they surrendered over 5 yards per rush here with 223 passing on 20 attempts. Todd Centillo a season low 26.7% completion rate, 3.5 yards per attempt. This season, Centillo a 61% completion rate, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks, 9 yards per attempt. Old Dominion 3-6 after their 12-0 home defeat here to Marshall. Monarchs gained a season low here, 209 yards, 11 rushing on 14 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 6 yards per rush with 89 passing on 25 attempts. Hayden Wolf completed 52% of his passes. Season low here, 4.3 yards per attempt. This year, career low, 57% completion rate, 7 yards per attempt. Both teams on 3-game losing streaks. On the road, the Dukes are averaging 460 yards, 4.4 yards per rush. Monarchs at home averaging only 19 points a game. Play here will be James Madison at -7.5. UL Monroe versus Georgia State. College football pick Saturday. UL Monroe 3-6 after their 31-30 home win to Texas State. Bobcats posted 381 yards, and this one was 68 rushing on 28 carries. Defensively, the Warhawks allowed over 4 yards per rush with 237 passing on 41 attempts. Chandler Rogers, 70% completion rate, 7.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. This season, Rogers, a 71% completion rate, 8.1 yards per attempt. Georgia State 4-5 after their 42-14 road win at Southern Miss. Panthers gained 521 yards, 388 rushing on 59 carries. Defensively, Georgia State held the Golden Eagles to just over 1 yard per rush, 169 yards rushing on 32 carries. Darren Grainer completed 65% in victory, 5.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the campaign, Granger, 56% completions, 7.5 yards per attempt. Warhawks defense on the road giving up 468 yards, 5.3 yards per rush. At home, the Panthers giving up 448 yards with 313 passing, 8.7 yards per attempt. The play here will be on UL Monroe and Georgia State over 59. Rice versus Western Kentucky. College football pick Saturday. Rice improved to 5-4 with that 37-30 home win to UTEP. Rice had a season high of 502 yards, 168 rushing on 32 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 4 yards per rush with 159 passing on 28 attempts. Quarterback Riley Green did not start due to injury the past 6 weeks. TJ McMahon, 68% completions with 10.8 yards per attempt in the game. He had 334 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. This season, McMahon, 59% completions, 8 yards per attempt. Western Kentucky, 6-4 after their 59-7 road win at Charlotte. Hilltoppers gained 592 yards, 131 rushing on 17 carries. Defensively, WKU allowed Charlotte just, less than 3 yards attempt here? Yeah, less than 3 yards a carry, 223 passing on 34 attempts. Austin Reed completed 60% in the win, nearly 11 yards per attempt. He threw for 409 yards and 6 touchdowns. Reed's on the season, 68% completion rate, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks, 7.8 yards per attempt. You know, the past 3 games, the Owls are allowing 42 points and 400 yards a game. In that period, the Hilltoppers, they're averaging 470 yards and giving up 415. The play here will be Rice and Western Kentucky over 62. Temple versus Houston. College football pick Saturday. Temple sits at 3-6 after that 54-28 home win at USF. Owls gained 621 yards, 277 rushing on 30 carries. On defense, Temple allowed nearly 7 yards per rush, 190 passing on 27 attempts. E.J. Warner, he hit season highs here, 75% passing, 9.6 yards per attempt. Season high yards here, 344 yards. He did pass for 2 touchdowns. On the year, Warner, 56% completion rate, 6.5 yards per attempt. Houston, they fought a 5-4. It was a wild game here. A 77-63 road defeat at SMU. Cougars here, season high, 710 yards in defeat, 182 rushing on 17 carries. Defensively, the Cougars gave up over 6 yards per rush and 379 passing yards on 37 attempts. Clayton Tune, well, 68% completions in the loss, 10 yards per attempt. He threw for 527 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks though. Isles don't have the offensive prowess of the Mustangs. Past 3 games, Cougars averaging 547 yards, 6.1 yards per rush, 392 yards passing for 9.6 yards per attempt. Play here will be Houston at minus the 20. Massachusetts versus Arkansas State. College football pick Saturday. UMass here fell to 1-8 after their 27-10 road defeat at UConn. Minutemen at season high, 369 yards with 103 rushing on 31 carries. Defensively, UMass allowed 6 yards per rush with only 60 passing yards on 13 attempts. Brady Olson, 56% completion rate, season high, 7.8 yards per attempt. The sophomore threw for a season high 266 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Arkansas State, they're 2-7 after their 31-3 home defeat to South Alabama. Red Wolves, the season low, 158 yards, negative 19 rushing yards on 19 attempts. They allowed 4 sacks, losing 43 yards. Defensively, they surrendered nearly 4 yards per carry to the Jaguars with 179 passing on 24 attempts. James Blackman completed season lows here, 56%, 4.5 yards per attempt. This year, Blackman is completing 67% of his passes, 7.5 yards per attempt. UMass has been held to 13 or fewer points in 5 of 6. At home, Red Wolves completing 67% of their passes, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. The play here will be on Arkansas State here at the minus 17. All right, that was our college football pick show here for Tuesday. Make sure you like, subscribe, set those notifications. Visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com, for our best bet from our top cappers. Check us out right there. All right, I got our sports covered for today. There's no NBA, so we'll be back later this afternoon with more free picks on our live shows. And Mindy and Ramon here at 9 a.m. each time with Morning Steam. Some college basketball, some NHL, and more. Tune into that and on college football. And so tune in to the show live at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Tony T. Back a little later this afternoon with more picks.